Good evening, all, and welcome to the August 8th, 2023 work session. Would you all please rise for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please keep in your thoughts and prayers all of our police, fire, ambulance, all of our EMS that serve us on a daily basis and keep us safe here in the town of Yorktown. And also, please keep in your thoughts and prayers all of our service members that keep our freedoms free on a daily basis. Thank you. Amen.
Hi, Dave.
Good evening, everybody, and I hope everybody's having a good summer. Been a rainy one so far, but we've had some nice things that have gone on in the town of Yorktown here. We have another movie night coming up, and I want to remind everyone that it's the kids' choice. So please have your child get on the Yorktown Parks and Rec social media and have them pick their choice for the next movie coming up. It's very important for the kids. Another thing that we had go on in town here is our wonderful Grange Fair celebrated its 125th anniversary. I'll tell you, the Grange is an absolute jewel in this town. And believe it or not, when you have people that come into the meeting sometimes that haven't been here a while or are not from town, they don't know anything about our Grange. It is the only Grange Fair in Westchester County. And it's just so much fun to go to. It's so much fun for the kids and big kids alike. So they celebrated their 125th year. So I hope we can be there for their next 125th, right, Serge?
That's right.
All right. Serge was there with me. We gave him a little proclamation, a little certificate, and they were very appreciative. They had a nice little hamburger and hot dog meal afterwards, which we imbibed in.
Yep.
And good luck to the Grange for their next 125 at least. Also, we had the last end of summer reading night at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. And they had the Independence Band playing there. They were wonderful, and it was like a nice night on the front lawn of the library, playing a little bit of jazz, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But it was very nice. I would say there was about 100 or 150 people there, something like that. But I wholeheartedly suggest that you go to our library, talk to Yvonne. She is such a great director, along with the rest of her staff, in getting things done over there for the community. And I don't know if anybody's noticed it that has been over that way, but our poor Christmas tree, I think, is on its last legs. We planted it a year ago, October, and I had an arborist out there today who looked at it, and it has some type of a spruce canker, whatever that might be for a tree, but it's a disease. It doesn't look good, doesn't sound good no matter what it is. So we're going to be battling that and most likely planting another tree in its place because this one's just not going to make it. But we will be having the tree lighting out there again this year after the electric light parade here and the tree lighting down at Jack DeVito Veterans Memorial Field.
Can't believe we're talking about Christmas right now. Holiday.
Yeah, I know it. But you know, it's around the corner.
Yeah.
The other, we had the in retrospect, the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce and Jefferson Valley Mall has their school donation bus, Stuff the Bus. It's going to be on Friday, August 18th, from 7 to 8:15, and get there early because they're giving away certificates, or I should say passes to get either an ice cream or free admission to the outdoor movie, which is going to be at the mall parking lot. So that's all I got.
How about, just mention, August 7th, Purple Heart Day?
Purple Heart Day, we did the proclamation on that last week, and thank you to all of our veterans. All right.
Oh, Tommy.
Yes.
Remind them there are no more meetings until September.
Ah, yes, and I'm going to be singing to you at the end of the meeting. It'll be "See You in September." We have the 2 weeks off, and then the 5th Tuesday, so there'll be no more meetings after this one until September 5th. All right.
I'm going to show up just in case.
Are you? Okay.
What the heck?
I make that mistake sometimes.
All right, so we have the Support Connection, Ariana Gogan, and is it Grogan?
Goggin.
Goggin. Okay, come on up. The mic is yours. And this is to talk about the 2023 Support a Walk.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ariana Goggin. I am the Communications and Development Manager at Support Connection. With me tonight is Amanda Margiata. She is our Development Coordinator at Support Connection.
Nice to meet you.
For those of you who have not heard of us before, we are a Yorktown-based nonprofit that provides free counseling resources to anyone impacted by breast, ovarian, or other gynecological cancers. What sets us apart from the cancer organizations in the county and throughout the country is our peer counseling model. So all of our counselors on staff have had to hear the words, "You have cancer." And they can speak from that personal experience and truly touch the lives of those who reach out to us for support. I'm here today because Support Connection is glad to announce our annual Support a Walk for breast and ovarian cancer on Sunday, October 1st, here in Yorktown at FDR Park. The walk is our largest fundraising event of the year, and all proceeds raised go towards our one-on-one peer counseling programs, support groups, wellness programs, and social activities. We're here to request permission to put pink and teal ribbons on the posts along Commerce Street from Route 202, 118, that intersection, to the firehouse. These ribbons would be up on the posts from September 5th until the week of October 1st. We're hoping that these ribbons will spark curiosity in those that see them, encouraging them to find more out about Support Connection, the services we provide, and the walk. I'd like to say thank you for giving us the opportunities to speak tonight. We appreciate the town of Yorktown's continued support of our mission to make sure that nobody diagnosed with breast, ovarian, or any other gynecological cancer walks alone.
It's a great organization.
It's beautiful.
And I can't speak for the rest of the board, although I probably can with this one. Tie your ribbons.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, if you want to expand it and do it on the East Main Street in Shrub Oak area, have at it, because that'll give you guys more awareness, give people more awareness of what you guys do out there.
Thank
It's a
you.
good idea.
And it'll draw more people, even from that side, to come over here and support you with your walk. I think it's such a laudable cause, because I've never heard of another cause that does this right here, basically in our own hometown. So I thank you. I thank you. I bet you there's not anybody here that hasn't known somebody that's heard those words. And if you've known somebody that's heard those words, you need the support. So I thank you so much for everything you do.
The counselors are absolutely amazing, and they're unfortunately coming from experience. And you even had a loss. One of your counselors not too long
Long
ago.
ago,
And,
yes.
I kind of spend some time with you guys quite often. Sometimes there's gaps, but I see what you guys do from the inside out, and it's just truly amazing, So, yeah, I'm all in.
Yep. All in.
Owen, although,
You had us from hello.
how come you have them allowed to go to East Main Street, but I'm not allowed to go there?
You,
Without a pass from you.
I haven't given you my pass yet.
I know.
All right, you haven't got the license to
You
go
guys
there
are
yet.
better than me. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so
all.
much.
Have
Thank
a
you.
very good night. Thank you for
You
your
too.
time.
A poster, and we'll put it up here, and they'll put
Yeah.
it on the website.
Why don't you hold it up and let Tom just zoom in on it if you can, Tom, so. Stay there, don't move. All right. Thank you so much. You
Good
too.
night, have a great night.
Good night. All right. Next up would be our Director of Planning, John Tegeter, and he's going to introduce us to a new software program that he has been exploring. It's very interesting. We sat in on a little Zoom call a couple months ago.
You did.
And Sergio, and Ed, I think I could even work this program.
I think I
So
might
it comes
be
with,
able to do it also.
comes with crayons and.
It does, it does. It really does, so.
So, as you know, we're heaped in the digital world, and for the last number of years, there are some software programs that exist in town. None have really been able to work for the manner that we work, which is a little bit different. It's not completely data-driven. It's a lot of writing, long letters, reports, and things of that nature. So some of the things that we've seen haven't really worked for us, and we've looked at a number of them over the years. We came upon this one, which it goes by the name Cloud Permit, and we had some demos. Robin, who can't be here tonight because she's having her anniversary.
That's
Happy anniversary, Robin.
but happy anniversary.
I hope she's not watching this.
I hope so. I hope she's not watching, too.
Hope so too.
We both felt that this one in particular seemed to have an ease of use and some features that we could immediately tell work with the manner in which we work. One of the things that we've always looked to do when we buy software is that it is actually eliminating steps or reducing work and not creating, reducing it in one but creating other steps in another realm, which most of them have done. This one seems to eliminate a couple of steps that will be a big time saver and will make, I think, our process much more efficient for us. We do have a smaller department, so sometimes the workload can be pretty intense at some point. So I think this will help us throughout the year, but also in those very difficult times. So with that, I think we have a little presentation, and the two fellas behind me are
Taught
going
you
to
how
come
to
up
do it?
and walk you through how it works, and you can certainly ask them any hard questions that you have, because I've tried that, and they've always come up with some good answers. So I'll give the podium to them.
John.
I'm Frank Ficarro. I'm with Cloud Permit. I'm the account executive responsible for New York State. And joining me tonight is Peter Rotenberg, and he's Director of Sales and one of the original members of Cloud Permit. So,
You guys will probably have to step closer to the mic, otherwise the guy in the back room yells at you.
All right, we don't want that to happen.
No, we
No,
don't
no,
need
no.
that to happen tonight.
Could I more grab the, just a little bit easier that way?
I put you on slideshow.
Okay.
Do you want to take it? Yeah. Okay, not at all.
So what we want to do this evening is walk you through the software at a high level and explain a little bit about our company, and then some key facets of how the software operates and what it's going to do for both the staff and people looking to get planning and land use applications through in Yorktown. A little bit about our company. We're based out of Fairfax County, Virginia. We've been in operation for about 13 years. Our company is specifically focused on building what we'll broadly call community development software, so building, planning, code enforcement, land use, licensing, those types of workflows, especially for small and mid-sized governments. So our big clients are in the 30, 40,000 population threshold, but our typical clients, community between 5 and 15,000 folks in population. Our typical client, as kind of John pointed to, is light on staff, light on resources, and where we come in is giving them software that really acts as a force multiplier and allows them to get more work done and really start to streamline the process for the applicant community to make the process more accessible and make all these things a little bit easier to do. So just to dive in, and we got some screenshots at the end just to show you a couple things in the software so you can kind of get a sense of how it looks and feels. But ultimately, our product is a complete land management solution for John's department. There's two sides to this system. One side of it is a public-facing component that's going to allow applicants, members of the public, folks trying to get applications through to your planning board meetings to submit those applications online. I remember when Frank and I first met with John, the first question we had the first question we asked him was, what percentage of the applications show up kind of incomplete, missing stuff? And he kind of laughed and said,
All of them?
Yeah. Right?
I know you, John.
Yeah. And,
He was probably going to ask you to reframe the question.
Exactly. Well, I think he knew it was a bit of a loaded question, right? And the reality is, every municipality, every town, village is different, but a lot of the problems are the same, whether we're working in Alabama or Florida or New York or Illinois. So what our company set out to do is basically build a product that's going to allow public applicants to submit their applications really easily through the software. So they simply create an account, log in, they can pick the type of application that they want to apply for, and the first thing it's going to do is make it really easy for them to figure out every step of the process in terms of what's going to be involved. I think a lot of the customer services challenges start when people just don't know what to expect. So Cloud Permit's going to do a really good job just making sure that they know what they're doing. And then it's going to make it impossible for them to give John and Robin incomplete applications, which is going to be a godsend for them. For staff, it's a cockpit. And we really look at planning, zoning, these types of processes as very complex. There's a lot of moving parts. They got to go through various meetings to get these applications approved. It can be months and months and months that John and his team are working with, folks in Yorktown trying to get these applications through the process, right? So what we want to create is a one-stop shop where both sides can really collaborate together, work on these applications, prepare them for the board meetings, so that when they get here, I don't know if any of you guys are on the planning or zoning boards, but everything's nice and organized and ready to go. So for the applicants, I'll keep this pretty simple. The first thing I think that really caught John's attention when we met with him, we asked him a question is, do you ever meet with applicants before you actually start the application process, right? And this is a pretty common thing. So one of the first things an applicant's going to be able to do is simply request a meeting with John and his team to talk about their application, right? So the software is going to allow applicants to book that meeting. John and his team are going to be able to keep track of, when those meetings happen, what was discussed, and then ultimately help prepare an application for that applicant to bring in front of the various boards. The way the system works, we look at these things as pretty straightforward. Applications are really 4 components. There's fees that they need to pay, there's forms they need to fill out, there's attachments they need to submit, traffic studies, site plans, that type of information. So what the system's going to do is basically lay that all out in one place and require them to submit everything before they can click a big submit button, and John's team can pick it up and start to begin to review and approve it. Where this really changes the game for an applicant, like I said before, is the whole process is laid out in front of them from the get-go, so there's no confusion. And it allows them to stage up their application over time. Planning applications are not simple. There's a lot of moving parts. So you can almost think of it like an Amazon shopping cart where you can kind of pick everything you want and then one day you can click send, right? The only difference here is they're providing you things, right? Traffic studies, forms, documents, whatever is required for them to get to that next step, to that next meeting. You can see sort of it's not rendering very well here, but there's a little screen cap. It's kind of cut off by the TV, but it kind of shows
pending approvals
the user interface a little bit. For staff, it's a very simple and easy to use, system. Supervisor Diane, I appreciate your endorsement. We even got,
Ride the crayons.
yeah, and we even got
You're the
Frank,
best.
We even
All
got
right?
Frank to learn how to use it, which
Frank, you can use it?
I can use it.
All right,
that
good.
was my hardest job. So what's kind of neat about the software is as soon as an application is submitted, it automatically sets up a file, basically, in the system. And that file is basically custom built around the application type. So it's going to look a bit different for a site plan application versus a rezoning application or a subdivision application, right? Staff from throughout the organization can then get involved. So one of the things we talked with John a lot about was the sort of referral process, right? Where he needs to bring in different folks from different components within the organization to work on these applications, to provide comments, to provide feedback before these applications can ultimately get in front of the meetings. One of the great things about our product, and I think this really stems from us understanding local government very well, and again, limited resources, right? We don't charge for user licenses, so as many people within the organization that need to have access to the software can have access to the software at no additional cost. So most software companies make their money. It's sort of a, razor blade kind of model, right? Where they get you in and then every time you want to add someone new, there's a cost to do that. We look at things a little bit differently. Our company grows by bringing new cities, new towns, new villages onto the platform, not by squeezing every dollar we can out of our existing clients. So the unlimited user licenses, I mean, on one sense, it just, it caps the cost at a certain amount, which is really good. But on the other hand, it opens up some really interesting possibilities for who can get involved into the workflow, right? So if someone in public works or highways perhaps, I'm not sure, needs to comment on an application and provide feedback, that all happens in one centralized place within the software.
So obviously, I just have a quick question. So to make it Crayola friendly, it tells you when you're missing something in a portion of, so if someone forgot their phone number in their heading, it'll say you can't move on until you get back and fill this in, or you can move on, but this is still pending for, it has this. And then as far as the support it gives for interactive with the public, how is there like a different setting where it's actually like department heads to department heads floating the material around, and then the actual application or applicant would get a notification that like planning and highway are hanging out together reviewing it, and so if you're thinking of an update or your architect needs an update.
Very well.
I am from this generation, I think.
Perfect.
But I am curious because sometimes I feel like it also is a good place to like get updated information, like phone numbers, like architects. Like you can create like almost like, what were they called? Like those cloud monkeys, like kind of like where you have like a
contact information.
Yeah, all that
and-
CVC stuff that
That's
can
all
be there.
possible. So when an applicant uses the software the first time, they create an account. And like anything you apply for online now, when you create your account, you're providing certain information. So it's going to require phone number, address, email, all the basic identifiers, right? What that's also going to do when an applicant starts to, like today when an applicant wants to submit their information, right, they're going to have to put their name on 3 or 4 different forms and their contact information on 3 or 4 different forms. With Cloud Permit, the applicant logs in one time, creates their account, and all that information goes in, right?
So I got a couple of questions for you.
Sure thing.
Do you want me to wait to the end, or you want to
I think you should fire away.
fire away? Can the site be branded so it has our Yorktown logo on it and that kind of stuff? And can we customize the URL so it'll be something like, building department, cloud permit at yorktownny.org?
So today, no.
can't be.
We do brand everything that comes out of the system. So, for example, when John uses the system to produce an agenda or a meeting package, a zoning permit, any of those
It'll
documents.
have a header of some sort.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So that'll all
Sure,
be
I
branded.
mean, it's going to have like your almost like a,
It won't have our watermark or anything on any of that.
Right.
Yeah. When this applicant uses the system, it will say Cloud Permit at the top. That is something that we're looking at for future development. Again, working with small and mid-sized communities, right? There's only so much we can charge for the software. So what we're always working to do is build things into the software that make it cheaper for us to implement, faster for us to implement. There's 2 components to the cost of every software project. One is the software itself, and one is the services to implement that stuff. So what we try and do is keep that services cost as low as we possibly can to make it easier for cities to onboard that. Certain sacrifices have to be made along the way. So the custom branding and stuff like that at this point is one of them, But it is something I would expect, in the next year, maybe 2 years, that will become available.
So we'd have a link on yorktownny.org
Correct.
that links to, it's just gonna
the
forward to
cloud
your URL, and then they'll move
Yeah,
it.
and what we can also do is embed the login screen right into your website. So it'll feel very seamless for the applicant.
And I'm
right?
sure it has like a site location, like this is
Yep.
Yorktown somewhere
Yeah.
on the main page?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
That's a great question. I've not got that from a elected official before. I'm impressed.
Oh, he's got a lot of hats.
So, how's it licensed? So you're not licensing on a per user basis?
Yep.
It's not a per seat, it's not per user?
Yep.
So how do you license it?
So it's a modular system. So we do have other modules that are not in the scope here: building permitting, code enforcement, and a couple other modules. We really have 4 core modules. There's only 4 things you can buy from us. You guys
What are the
look
4
at one of them.
modules?
Building, planning, zoning, which is the one in scope, code enforcement, and licensing. Yeah. So each module has an annual cost. It's like all software now, it's a subscription-based fee. That fee comes with all the maintenance and support.
That's what I was gonna say. Are you working from the back end?
Yeah.
So you're saying that a town that has 36,000 people and a town that has
I see
136,000
where you're
people
going.
pay the same?
No. So we do base the pricing. We look at 2 factors. We look at population, but population's not always an indicative, variable for what a city should pay us. So we also look at permit or application volume. So basically, your population puts you into a band, and the more or less permits you issue, well, basically it goes into a pricing formula on our end.
So if I'm issuing this year 100,000 permits, all right, let's do it this way. If I'm issuing this year between 50 and 100,000
Yeah.
permits, I have a price because that's, if I go over 100,000 permits, what happens?
Nothing.
Yeah, what if you make it so easy that everybody wants to file a permit?
It's a good question. So what we do is
Right?
we
John will need more staff.
Yeah, so we lock the price in for 3 years. And whatever your rate is at the beginning, the renewal, you pay the exact same dollar fee each year for 3 years. It doesn't even go up by a couple percentage. So
Even
most-
if your volume doubles or
if your
triples?
volume goes up.
Because this is one of the reasons why people sell and buy a bigger house or a house with another bathroom. Because they,
Yeah,
wanna,
yeah.
they don't want to do the permit work.
So, Councilman, so we really look at the pricing as, again, like another feature of the product. So we want to make it easy. We don't want John to have to come back to you guys all the time asking for more money, right? Because at a certain point, John's going to go find a system where he doesn't need to do that, and, we're out of a
Well, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Our comptroller would really not like him doing that
100%.
either.
And if I may add one other thing, so then when when a client wants to renew with us, we negotiate.
That's when
a
you
renewal.
reassess.
But we don't reassess based on, you guys had some miraculous year of permit volume increase. We'll typically look at a number like 5% as the increase, right?
So
and-
your initial cost is your initial pricing is
Yeah.
based on potential volume that you're kind of estimating in a town this size, based on some formula you have. I'm sure you guys are
Yep.
quite good at that. And then from that point on, you're going up maybe 5% max.
But
It's capped at
after 3
5%.
years, it goes
After
up
3 years,
5%.
you're locked in for 3 years. It's a monthly it's a 3-year subscription, but you're paying monthly, you're paying
Typically,
yearly.
you pay annually. Yeah,
pay
we
annually.
can do monthly, but most of our clients would prefer to pay us once a year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, once it's budgeted, I guess it doesn't really matter, right?
Just want to include 2 other things before we leave that topic. So we also include unlimited user licenses, like I spoke about before. We also include unlimited data storage. So the hidden cost with a lot of cloud-based systems is how much data
That was
you
my
store.
next question.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's my next
How big
question.
is your suitcase?
Yeah, so we're not storing videos and, hardcore, big files. It's mostly PDFs and just data. So the cost
But a lot
is
of
very
people
minimal.
use that as the moneymaker. It's like a money shaker.
Yeah,
right?
so for us, it's written right into our agreement. You guys have completely unlimited data storage in the system. So there really is no hidden cost associated with it.
And-
And then the other aspect with that is it meets all New York State data retention and data archive.
I'm sure it does, yeah, I'm sure it does. So, which was another question of mine, but as far as attachments, custom documents that the end user or the applicant
Sure.
would you be able to attach them, because they're not just gonna be PDFs, they might be JPEGs, they might be,
So an
there's an
applicant,
attachment feature that you could go under the client,
yeah, so like I
applicant.
said,
the applicant.
the applications are really 4 components. There's fees they pay, forms they fill out, people they identify. So I might own the property, but Frank might be my consultant that I've hired to, work with you guys throughout the process, and John, right? So both of us can be attached to one application. And then the final thing is the attachments. We accept, I think, 7 or 8 different file types. So it's all the common stuff you'd expect: JPEGs, TIFFs, anything from the Microsoft Office suite. And all of that stuff gets converted into PDF documents, because that's what municipalities like, and certainly what your state archiving guidelines want.
I noticed that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish your.
I noticed that you had something up there that said there was pay online.
Yep.
So we have our own credit card processing and everything like that.
Yeah.
Are we required to sign up with a specific credit card processor that you guys pick?
We're Switzerland, so we'll work with anybody.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I think our
That's-
credit card stuff only goes through, do you take credit cards over there? No, so we only have the clerk's office, I believe, right, that does credit cards, and the receiver of taxes at this point. I don't know the building department does.
Are you planning, John, to do credit cards?
Do you take Venmo? No,
Cash?
because checks are a wrap.
That's something that I haven't looked into.
You're gonna get yelled at.
That's not something that I've looked into deeply at this point. It's not a critical component, because I don't have small payments, and usually it's a professional team that's, using checks still. So it's not critical at this
Still.
point. I'm interested in how it would work. I'm interested to know if it will actually save some time and be more efficient, but it's not critical for this minute.
So I'm sorry, it's interesting because most times when I did a lot of development work, we did a lot of wires. We wired a lot of the deposits, and so do you accept wires?
No, we do not.
Okay.
We accept paper checks with
Pretty
dollar signs
signatures
and
on it?
numbers on it.
So I receive, an applicant comes in, sets up an account, the account is all set up.
Yep.
John gets a notification, Robin gets a notification, people from zoning that have to be part of the applicant, everybody's all hunky-dory, we're file attaching and everything. Somebody makes a payment by a paper check. It's going to be the responsibility of somebody in planning to post the payment. So this way we know that the application is paid in full before we can move any forward, right?
And
So
that's-
somebody, there's an applicant, it's not just online, I'm sure, right?
Do a manual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, so with any of the modules that we offer, there's a online component where people can submit, but we don't have a single client of our 500 plus clients in North America that get 100% of their applications online, right? It's just not realistic. So
Right.
the best we see is typically around like 80, 90%, and there's usually a bit of a heavy hand behind that, sort of saying like you better do it this way. And then what a lot of our clients will do as well is in the front office, they'll set up something like this where people can come in and start their applications right there in the front office.
No, I know, it's just that, the devil's always in the details.
Yep.
And, you don't want to miss that. So, you ask these really basic, I think, kind of like dumb questions, even though it was my own question.
They're good
Because, you never know, and then all of a sudden you go into the program, it's like, no, everything's online, so. All right, last couple of things. You talked about the cost for data storage. There is no additional
Oh, it's
cost.
included, yep.
You talked about the unlimited license and how the licensing model works with you guys, which is quite different.
Yep.
We talked about the fees for processing. I want to talk about backing up. I know you have data retention storage and you're following all the applicable rules and regulations. You go out of business tomorrow
Yeah.
because something happens. Where are all our files?
Sure. So I think the first place to answer that question is just to go back that, we're a profitable company. We got about 100 staff. We're 13 years in business. So just to maybe remove a little bit of anxiety on that question, we're not going anywhere. I hope certainly.
There's no anxiety.
But,
It's just that the
yeah,
devil's in the details.
It's a great question. So we do all our hosting through Google Cloud Services. And there's a vault somewhere in Pennsylvania that's got a hard code backup of our, like a backup of our code, in basically a physical escrow. If something ever happened to our company, Google would disperse the data back out to the clients. I do have a little bit just on security here as well.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Because there seem to be a lot of touch points here, and the unlimited licensing means, hey, I could take it home, maybe put it on my computer, and I'm on all of these, I don't know, buy a bride sites in Russia, and they're hacking my computer.
We actually had that. No, I'm kidding.
So what kind of cybersecurity is
Sure.
set up? Is that part of your
Yeah,
next
so
slide, or-
that's, again, 13 years, we've never, two things we're really proud of. We've never had a breach of our network, and there's never been a breach of our client's network through something that came in through our system. So if I'm, Frank's the applicant, I'm John, Frank's submitting attachments through the system that I'm ultimately going to download onto a town computer at some point, right? So we virus scan everything that comes into the system. And then all the basic security components that you would expect these days are in place. So there's
Like MFA?
MFA, minimum password strength requirements. There's required password resets for staff every 6 months, which staff tend to grumble about, but it's the right way to do it. Most of your online banking is going to require that now, so these are pretty standard things. We are backed up by Google as well in that front, so they come with like all the SOC 1, SOC 2, and ISO 2700 reports that we're always happy to provide you guys. Sorry? The audits. And the audits, yeah. So the other thing too that's really important, right, is you can audit the system. So you can always see down to the level of like who opened up a screen in the system. You can see who looked at what, who changed what, who edited what. You brought up a great point, Councilman, about unlimited user licensing starting to give a lot of access to different folks. There's also what's called role-based permissions in the software, meaning that there can be people who have access to look at things in the system, but they can't modify a record, they can't delete anything, they can't change anything or alter anything. So typically you get sort of broadly 3 tiers of access. There's the super users like John and his team. There's we use it a couple times a week users, and then there's
outside interactive.
Yeah, and sometimes folks like yourself will even get access so that you can look at property, records. You can look at, project files in advance of meetings, and it's totally up to you guys how you ultimately decide to set the software up and license it out too. So
Seems like a lot of our questions are coming from stuff that you're just going to bring forward in this presentation here.
Not our first rodeo.
All right. So why don't we continue through the presentation, and
Sure.
maybe a lot of these questions will be answered, and then anybody that has questions in the end will fire away.
Sounds good. And
This way, all the folks can hear
And
what's going on first.
Absolutely. I'll keep this brief. I got a couple other things I just wanted to chat about that I think you all will find interesting, and then I've got a couple screenshots from the product just to show you. Of course, if you'd like, we can always hop in and show you how it actually works, but I don't think that was really the intent this evening. Meeting management's one of the things that's going to save John and his team the most time. So if you can see down that second picture down there, what it's actually going to allow John to do is have a heads-up display that shows him upcoming planning board, zoning board, town board type meetings, and see which applications have been assigned to the agenda on each meeting. From there, him and his team are going to be able to basically use one click of a button to generate meeting packages and agendas for those meetings right out of the software. Which is really neat. And then we also have a host of public notification features, and this is typically where staff save the most time. So using an integration with the GIS system, the property mapping system, they can click a button and it will produce a mailing list of every property within 200, 300, whatever feet, and export that information into an Excel sheet so that they can send out public notice letters. That public notice letter is another kind of one-click generate document within the system. So what we're really doing is taking heavy lift administrative tasks and putting them almost on autopilot as much as possible so that the staff can spend more time with the applicants, helping them move the applications through the process. GIS integration, I've spoken about this a couple different times. This is just, again, the picture's not coming out that well here, but we are really, really big on GIS integration. I think if you talk to anyone who's buying this type of software these days, this is probably the first question that gets asked in terms of, does it integrate with GIS? How does it integrate with GIS? The nice thing about our software is we already integrate with the Westchester County GIS system.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, you guys are not going to be guinea pigs. It's something that's well tested and well tried on our end. We've talked about the security piece. The one thing we didn't cover is backups. So in addition to just, if an asteroid hit CloudPermit or something like that, on a day-to-day basis, there are 3 co-located data centers throughout the United States that host mirrored copies of our software. So something very dramatic in this country would have to happen if it was all going to go away. The other thing is we do daily backups of all the information in the software, which just means that, God forbid something did happen, our ability to get that data back is going to be pretty quick, pretty easy. What I have here is just a couple screenshots just to give you guys a sense. Now, without seeing the whole system, it's, this is a little bit stilted, but what you can see here, this is an example of a screen that staff can see. This is showing them that there's a planning board or a zoning board meeting on this evening. There's so many applications added to the agenda, and clicking one of those buttons down at the bottom of the screen, staff can create a pre-templated agenda or a meeting package, right? So even more for yourself, maybe this will make life a little bit easier, I hope. This is the tool where staff can generate mailing lists for public notice. So again, using that GIS integration, it's magic. It's pulling out all the property ownership information for each property.
Told you I could do this.
Yeah. This is a good example of what staff might see, where it's showing them 4 different documents that were submitted as part of one application, and it's showing, Councilwoman, this goes to one of the questions you asked earlier. This is actually showing the applicant which of their documents have or have not been approved yet, right?
And what attachments are missing.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So it's a really nice, easy to use interface. I should also mention it can be used on a cell phone, a tablet, a laptop. So it's super accessible, which is great. And I think, this is the first screen an applicant would see when they're creating their application. So they're picking from a list of different application types. And you can see that box at the bottom. It's asking them whether or not they want to start their process by booking a meeting with the staff.
Yeah.
So it's really simple, right? And again, you're not guinea pigs. There's hundreds and hundreds of communities using this software today. So you're benefiting from a lot of mistakes we've made in the past and a lot of lessons we've learned, which I think is always good. And then the last thing here is just another look at the GIS integration. This is an example where it's showing every subdivision. I think we set this for subdivision, rezoning, and zoning permit application in this particular community, and it's just overlaying it on a map. So one of the things that we've always heard from our clients is as they communicate with you folks, the boards, being able to show things on a map actually makes life a lot easier. And it makes things feel a lot more real. So one of the really nice outputs that come out of Cloud Permit is these map-based, geospatial-based views, where you guys can get different looks at information and start to see, we all kind of know where the hotspots are. This really, puts some tangible, something tangible around it, which I think is really nice.
How often have you experienced it going down so that the quirks could be set up? Is it something you guys do at night?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we use a system called hot patching, which is like Netflix, right? So when Netflix uploads a new season of The Crown or whatever your favorite show is, it's just available, right? And we do the same thing. So we do not take our system offline when we do upgrades. Once every few years, we might take it down for 20 minutes to do a little bit of maintenance. It's
but that's at like
rare.
3 o'clock in the morning, and
Correct.
you announce it, right?
Saturday night, 3 in the morning, exactly, and you get heads up.
John's up. Okay, he's ready to go at 3 o'clock in the morning at any given time.
We also do one update per month, which is great. So on a very regular basis, there's new features, new functionality coming into the software. Not every single update's a big facelift, right? But a lot of those updates are just to tweak things, make things load faster. And then our whole product roadmap is basically things that folks like John and Robin ask us to do, right? So the features that I've shown you guys on the screen today, at some point in time, we did not have. And our clients asked us to build certain features, and we have a pretty utilitarian approach. If a lot of people ask us for something, it goes right to the top of our priority list. But we generally get to everything pretty well. And again, kind of going back to where we started, people tend to have the same kind of problems. And it's one of, I think, the advantages for our company, because ultimately we have a very narrow focus. So we're not out there trying to build parks and recreation software or, finance software. We are focused on making folks like John's life easier.
Great.
Great. Happy to take any other questions.
Now, when we had gone over this, geez, I don't remember when it was. A month or so ago, John?
2 months ago, I think. A couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after Memorial Day, if I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this? I know we went through a bunch of different screens. Was this all we went through? There was more. There was more screens we went through.
Oh, you saw a lot more.
I thought so. I thought so. Okay, but that I found it pretty straightforward.
Yep.
That somebody coming up to that tablet
Yep.
in his department at a counter would be able to do what they have to do,
Yep.
schedule an appointment, and then go about their merry way, and they would get a call 2 days later to say, okay, come on in next Thursday.
One of the nice things as well is even if you have an over-the-counter application where no one's created an account, as long as you get an email in there, they're still receiving email notifications when their application's submitted, when staff start reviewing it, when it gets its first hearing date, when it gets approved. So, it's not that different from, tracking a Domino's pizza. And, I'm not going to lie, that's kind of one of our design cues in the software, right, is really trying to make this software look and feel like stuff people use on a regular day basis. Otherwise, we're not going to have a lot of luck selling it and certainly getting, your stakeholders to use
And
it.
I do appreciate the maintenance of
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, there's something about people, really trusting that the app said,
Yeah.
we received it and we're reviewing it, as
Yep.
opposed to them calling John 14 times to make sure he received it and reviewed it.
That's,
Makes it more efficient.
we often talk about it as the software is almost a shield for the department, because it's, easy for someone to yell at John, but if the system says, hey, you need to submit a traffic study, then, hey, I got to submit a traffic study, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the really nice things. And then, John and his team are focused on more pressing matters, right, at the end of the day.
So you reviewed the number of permits we
Yep.
generally take in on a yearly basis and have come
Yeah.
up with a price point
Yep.
for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Just got a couple more tech questions. Stay on the tech side.
Stay on the tech side,
All right.
then we'll go to price side.
Okay. So you probably don't have it. It's something that it's a pet peeve of mine with all these cloud-based programs. I like to have a copy of my own data in hand. There's no local backup option, right?
We can provide you guys periodic backups.
We did ask that. That was one of our questions.
You can't have that question. That's my question, John. You can't have that question.
John
You
didn't
gotta
ask.
have a different question.
Councilman John did not ask.
All right. MFA, right? Multi-factor authentication. Is it mandated out of the box, or do we have to check a box that says we want multi-factor authentication? For
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't know, that's when you log in and you get a text, right? And then you put the code in, and
Yeah.
you have to have that cell phone, so it's double.
So it is an opt-in for you guys. Typically, what we do is we hook up to your single sign-on through
Oh, that's perfect.
Microsoft, which makes it even easier, and then you just don't have to do
Yeah,
that.
we
every
don't.
time.
We have our own hosted exchange here, so it
Yep.
doesn't.
Perfect.
It won't work with that.
Oh, it won't?
No, we have our own exchange server.
Oh, you
here,
do?
so,
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I came across one cloud-based program that did this, and I thought it was just an amazing feature. With this particular program, you could lock down logins, not by geolocation, although that would be helpful here too, just to address Councilman Lackman's very good question that he asked about security. But you could also lock logins down in this particular application, not this, by IP address. So that means that if everybody's using the same router in this building, we could authorize the static IP address that we have here. So this way, you have to be in this building in order to log in. If you go across
Yeah.
the street and hook up to your Wi-Fi, you're at Starbucks and you hook up to their Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to log in. It's gonna kick you out. It's not going to kick you back. So so what you would be able to do is add a bunch of IPs for all our buildings and all our sites, and then that would. And even if somebody if they're the admins or something at their house, you can add their IPs,
Yeah.
and then that would really, really, really lock down that security. It's a great feature. You probably don't do it, but it's something that you should really consider because it's really, really, really. You talk about security and locking down.
Yeah.
You got MFA and all of this stuff. But if you can lock down where people are coming from that can log in,
It's hard to spoof an IP. Yeah.
that's right.
So
Is that like when I download a health video and then my sister uses my login at her house to work out?
Yeah, you wouldn't
Okay.
be able to do that.
kind of, yeah. So I know that we have done this in the past with some of our larger clients, and it's been a requirement. The last I've ever heard at our company of us doing this is probably 3-4 years ago. So I don't actually have a yes/no answer for you, but we will get back to you.
Okay.
I understand the question well. So what I'll do is I'll have Frank shoot John an email later this week once I can confirm with our product team
that'd be
and
great.
let you know. Yeah, I do know that we have restricted it to specific IP addresses.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know we've done that before. I just don't know if that's something that's on offer to any client. I don't know if I've never gotten that question before, to be honest with you. So I'd have to
We
find
live in
out.
a connected world,
There we
and
go.
everybody's trying to hack each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
security comes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then the features are nice.
I do want to note we don't store any, the only personal information we store are names and addresses, really, at the end of the day. Even with financial stuff, we're not storing credit card data or any banking information in our
Right.
system. So if we are doing online payments, right, none of that credit card data, all that PCI compliance is with the
Well, you
payment
can't
provider.
store it anyway. right?
Exactly, yeah.
Last thing is your uptime is what, like the 5 nines,
It's the
4 nines or 5 nines?
Yeah,
4 nines?
4 nines. 4 nines. Yeah, 99.99. So it's what we get from Google and it's what we give to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I guess we got to go on to where the cost is.
Sure.
All right. So we have the purchase cost and then whatever the annual is, correct? Is that what I'm to understand with this? Is
Yeah, there's a one, so it's, for the software, it'll be $8,000 a year. And then the implementation cost, the one-time cost, and that'll be $2,000.
The software is how much a year?
8,000.
8?
8.
And then there's a 2,000,
One-time cost.
You're looking at me a little.
All of this is $8,000 a year?
that's the nice part.
Well, I want to say it again. It's 8, right?
Yes,
Not
the
eight.
exact question,
I don't
that's
know
why.
about that,
I
John.
tried to do this with pools. I paid $25,000.
It's like 8 and 3 zeros?
8 and 3 zeros.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it showed me where the pipe was.
We've got 3
but
other
it-
modules that we'd love you guys to get at some point, but this one's 8,000.
I think the other modules too. I mean, you could have the entire.
And this,
Not a
now,
bad idea.
this will talk to our Municity 5 or Municity 5, we will just have to input the data from this into the Municity. Is that right, John? Did I have that right?
Correct. We'd have to do a very expensive custom integration to make that happen, and that's
Okay.
not in the scope of what we've proposed yet.
What we do now is, we have access to Municity, and we occasionally look to see get some building permit information on a particular property, just as background when we're trying to answer questions. What we do for the building department is we upload into Municity the approved signed site plans and the resolutions and any other particular documents that they need, to do their job. That's all we use it for. So it helps them, the information we get back helps us, but that's all, my point with this one is that's data entry. When an applicant comes in and makes his application, I have a file already made and
Yes.
a project, space that's already made for me. I don't have to make the file, I don't have to put it in a certain file, make sure it's double filed somewhere, I don't have to do any of that. And that's one of the steps that is saved here.
So the
Lack
8,000,
of data entry.
right, so the 8,000 is the purchase, and then the 2,000 is per year licensing, is that what it is?
No, other way.
Other way around, yeah.
Other way around,
And
okay.
the 2,000,
Really trying to get shaky.
yeah, that just
I
covers
tried.
the setup, the initial setup costs, so just our time and materials in terms of the training, the configuration. We're gonna have a few meetings with John and his team to better understand the process and make sure the software is set up the right way. Typically, our training is all done via Zoom, remote, and then there's always opportunities where we could send someone down. At some point, we do have a lot of other projects in the area going on right now, so at some point, there'll be staff from our end, our professional services team that'll drop in.
Okay, so if refresh my memory now, if we have a user, John is the main user over there, and we want engineering, and we want highway, and we want, how much is it per?
You just add them. There's no additional cost. Yeah.
Making sure.
This is so this.
They'll be able to see what we have.
Suppose he
all
wants
the
to pay
applications.
more.
I'm just checking, I'm just double checking.
If I knew it was 8,000,
Sergio wants
Send
to
the money to John.
if I knew it was 8,000, I wouldn't have asked so many questions. You know what I mean? I'd get my money's worth there.
John wants us to include his Venmo, so you can, John will work out access.
That's one of the attractive things, is that anybody on town staff can get a login and see what we have coming up for the planning board, et cetera, et cetera. You'll be able to see pretty much everything that we see, so.
And it's going to make applying for a permit so much easier. And that is something I hear from the residents, that, just keeping the paper in check and writing your name, and so it's nice that you have that, and it provides the maps and whatnot.
They're scary processes, and really the idea is just to make things really simple at the outset, and then allow John.
It's an extra hand to hold, helps them
Yep.
with an extra hand to hold.
But also, I think some of the interactions that can happen within the program between staff members, but also applicant and staff, will be saved in the project file. Whereas now, you have to remember to do that and pick it out of your email.
Oh, yeah, to apply it to the app, yeah.
Save it to a PDF and put it in the file. And that's another
Step.
that I'm saving. So all of those little things do add up.
And the way that it's articulated and the way that it feels, there's a learning experience also for the applicant to see what they're actually applying for, what's actually necessary, the updates in the maps, the public notices. So that, because just thinking, you have to notice this. You're like, wait, what do I do now?
And one of the nice things here too is all this information, all this text that you see on the screen, these good to know sections. A lot of companies call these tooltips.
Yeah.
John and his team actually have full editorial control on this. Councilman, this can be done without any code. So one of the other things we haven't talked about, but John and his team.
Get closer to the mic before you get yelled at.
So John and his team will be able to make modifications to the software on their own without having to pay, for additional
great.
development costs and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon for, a site plan map or a, subdivision, guide to getting a subdivision in your town type document to be hyperlinked in these tooltips. So it opens up a lot of fun, interesting possibilities from a customer service perspective.
Yeah, there's a lot of learning that comes with it.
Yep.
And you're able to have multiple admins that will be
Yep.
able to create accounts and assign.
Yep, you can create your whole kind of branched hierarchy of roles and permissions. The system works really, really well. I mean, just to give you a sense of how detailed it gets, we have communities where they're providing services like building services, planning services as a shared service to neighboring municipalities. So John would be doing Yorktown plus a bunch of other communities, and we can actually set it all up. It's
very generous of you,
John. Venmo, yeah.
Venmo,
So,
that's it.
I mean,
You might find
it's
some
quite
time.
dramatic the way
You
it
don't
can
have
be
to change
set
it
up.
to a PDF
Yeah.
this time. You saved
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
That was funny. So that's great. I like
No,
that.
this is great. Thank you so much.
I think I've seen enough. I don't know about you guys.
I'm great with this.
Got any questions?
Nope.
Anybody got any questions? Okay. Well, we thank you for the presentation. I was
Very
through
much.
the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Very entertaining.
Yeah, and thanks for your energy and like wanting,
really cool.
loving your own product. We love that.
We're geeks about this stuff.
Yeah.
No,
When I
makes me
gone
very
through
happy.
the first one, I was impressed with it.
Well, thank you.
It was interesting that the simplicity of use, and that's what you want coming to the counter, because you have a guy that's banging nails for a living and he's going to do a subdivision. He wants to just be able to input his name, address, and telephone number and set up an appointment.
So, Supervisor, how do we get this savvy thing going?
This here,
Yeah. What's next?
next thing.
I'm gonna talk to these guys a little more. 'Cause
Okay.
I wanna be cautious. I'm always a little cautious about these things. So I'm gonna dig in a little bit more.
Okay.
Not too much. I have a few more questions. But I think that they can submit, a formal piece of paper.
Perfect, that's what I'm
That I
asking.
can then transmit to you, get a resolution for you if you're
In
into
September,
it, and
the big
get it
first week of
moving in
September.
short order.
All right. Then we have a meeting this week anyhow, and we'll discuss. This will be one of the topics, correct? All right.
We'll see how much you like it, and then we'll discuss our Venmo number.
Yes, okay. All right. There you go. Now you talk.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, folks, so much.
Thanks, John. I was laughing when he was talking about how he has to configure it from the Word document to the PDF to even just upload it.
And I was very surprised when John came into the office. We went through the Zoom meeting with this whole thing and how smoothly it flowed, opposed to a lot of the other things I've seen, like even the Municity 5 is a little tough to follow.
Yes.
It really is.
That one's actually very tough.
Yep. And it's interesting that you can actually log into this. Well, we did it, remotely, but and it just went right through. And the price was decent.
Price is unbelievable.
Okay.
Jeez,
I think we'll.
I got involved in my
I thought it was going to be $8,000 a month.
You're very, very surprised. See.
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought it was.
I keep the best for last.
I
Okay,
thought it
let's
was
do
going to
this.
be.
Okay. On to our resolutions. From our assessor, we have a tax sorciary settlement. And from our comptroller, authorized comptroller to process the following budget transfer from the general fund balance to police vehicles and police vehicle equipment. Then we're going to go on to authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer from police salary to police, from police salary line to police overtime.
Yep.
Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer from Lake Mohegan Improvement District fund balance to Lake Mohegan Improvement District temporary help special projects. Ken. That was a mouthful. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer from highway paving to highway equipment.
Don't you want to know what I'm buying?
Oh, I see it. It's the Felling FT.
Oh gosh.
knew he was here for a reason.
It's a,
That's what
yes.
it says.
Go ahead, Dave.
It's a we bought the Avant.
That's correct.
Has been doing a fabulous job.
It's a neat
cutting
little
it,
machine.
right? This is a trailer for the Avant.
Okay.
Because we have a trailer just like this, but we carry the Bobcat around on it.
Oh, so the Avant wants its own Rolls
So
Royce?
either the Bobcat goes out or the Avant goes out. So this will give us the opportunity to put both those pieces of equipment to work at the same time.
All right.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay.
I don't get much of a chance to talk, so pretty
Can you tell us
excited.
what an Avant is?
An Avant? Oh, an Avant is the thing we used to do the sidewalks now, and it's a mower that has an arm that drops down, and instead of a sickle bar, it has a flail, which cuts it like you would cut your lawn.
Yep.
And it's beautiful.
I-
Because the sickle bar leaves things a little scroungy.
I wave at Patty when she's on it.
Yes.
I was in that one snowy night. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, the Avant is, actually it has a little salter in the back
Yep.
of it.
Yep. You can get in it, but it's not real easy to get out of.
No, it's a little tight.
Yeah,
You know,
little
well,
tight.
it could go on the sidewalk, so it has to
Yeah.
Literally.
Anyhow, all right. From the town board, award bid to Michael's Pipe Service for the cleaning and cement relining of water mains located on Front Street and Underhill. Authorize the town clerk to re-advertise the bid for pavement markings. Then we're going to authorize the town clerk to advertise bid for the resurfacing of the DE, the diatomaceous earth tank. You know all about that, don't you, Lou? Authorize the town clerk to advertise a bid for tank removal and installation, and that's for the chlorine tanks at Junior Lake. And we're going to authorize the town clerk to advertise a bid for the lighting at Downing Park baseball fields. That's for the installation. The purchase was on a different authorization.
That is exciting.
Yep, finally getting that done. Authorize the town clerk to advertise bid for purchase of a Chevrolet Tahoe. And we're going to appoint Richard Demilius to real estate property appraiser, job class code 00604-01, effective August 28th, 2023, with a salary of $84,460. And we're going to appoint Mark Alexander as laborer, job class 0425-05, effective August 14th, 2023. I'm going to hold this one for last, if that's okay with everybody. The next one down. Then we're going to authorize the supervisor. We're going to authorize the supervisor to sign an amendment contract with Wesson and Sampson, and our comptroller is calling us as I speak, so this can't be good. Usually she texts. Hello? I'm here. I did that, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, that's part of it. Okay, very good. Thank you, bye-bye.
That's the ARPA, that one.
I missed one?
No, it's part of the bid award, you did do it.
You
Oh.
did it, it's inclusive too.
You can point it out,
Right here, just the language on
the
that.
water
No,
and cement
you're on the
relining.
Oh, okay, yeah, award the bid to Michael's Pipe Service for cleaning and cement relining of the water mains located on on Front Street and Underhill Avenue. And be it further resolved, the comptroller will authorize to process the following budget transfer from water cement relining of $600,000 and general fund balance to cement relining capital projects. Okay. Authorize the town clerk to re-advertise bid for pavement markings. Authorize the town clerk to advertise bid for the resurfacing of the, I did that already, the DE
Yep.
tank?
We're on the
Okay.
signing.
And then we're down on,
You're at the
I was at
supervisor, from the supervisor's office.
office.
Flip it over.
You were up to Weston and Sampson.
Yes, authorize the supervisor to sign an amended contract with Wesson and Sampson for engineering services related to offsetting and abandoning the existing transite pipe with a new ductile iron, 8-inch ductile iron pipe for no additional cost. And now we're going to go backwards to, it's a naming of the Jefferson Village, naming the Friends of Jefferson Village Travel as a town-sponsored senior club. We're going to table that for our next meeting in September.
So we're not taking that one?
We're not going to take that one for right
Okay.
now.
All right. So the rest of them?
Because there's one that's stopping and one that's starting, and I think both should be in there.
Okay.
All right, so that's understood.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, does the town want to break into song here for See You in September?
Yes.
I've heard
I
you
don't know
sing
the
before,
song.
no.
You in September. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you in September.